Hi guys, welcome back to the Player YouTube channel, and today we're doing something a little bit different. I thought it might be nice to actually start our intro off in the car we're going to be reviewing. And today's car is the Nissan Leaf, and it's an EV, and to me and you and the rest of the world, EV stands for electronic vehicle. So we're in a fully electronic car. It's called the Leaf, and I think, I'm only guessing, it was called the Leaf because leaves come from trees, and trees are very eco-friendly. Trees basically are saving our planet. Let's talk about this car because Nissan, they're not new to this game. Believe it or not, Nissan launched their very first electronic EV car back in 1947. That was just after the Second World War. And the reason they launched the car is pretty similar to why we're converting over to electric cars now. Back then they had a shortage of, as they say in American, gasoline, or for the Europeans that's benzene, or in England it's petrol. And there was quite a shortage of it, so they came up with the idea of an electronic car, which was groundbreaking back in those days. You can imagine they'd only really just got into proper petrol engines, so to come up with an electronic vehicle was amazing. And this thing could do 40 miles on one charge, which again is even more incredible considering the batteries they had back in those days. And it would do a top speed of 20 miles an hour. Totally stunning. So between there and now, I mean, obviously petrol then became more abundant, and sadly electronic cars never took off. But now they're back in fashion, and the Leaf was launched in 2010, and it's been the most successful electronic vehicle in history so far. This car has sold almost 400,000 units since 2010. Last year alone, in 2018, this it didn't sell coal, this car sold nearly 40,000 units. That's incredible when you think there's so much competition out there now, and yet Nissan are still leading the way when it comes to electronic vehicle. It's a supercar to drive. We're going to have a good old look round it now, and then when we finish we're going to jump back in the car, we're going to get out, and I'm going to tell you all about how this car works and what it runs on. I'll catch you in a minute. A few years ago I was totally anti-electric cars. They meant about as much to me as having my foreskin pierced. However, now I've a little bit changed, because having tried out the Tesla Model S, check it out up here, we did a great video on it, it totally blew my mind. And then we went to Geneva, and that blew my mind as well, because we looked at maybe a dozen or so electric cars. I couldn't wait to get back here and ask Nissan if I could borrow the Leaf, and that's what we're going to talk about today, because this is a surprisingly good car. So apart from the colour, which can be forgiven, I actually nicknamed it Dulux with a touch of apple. That was it, yeah. You might recognise it if you painted the bathroom recently. Under here is the charging ports. We'll take a look at that in a minute. It's very simple, very easy just to pop this open. The car itself, well, it's not a bad looking car. I mean, not gonna, it's not a stunningly sporty model, is it? But I do like it. It comes with standard 17-inch alloys. You've got these really nice daytime LED running lights. But unfortunately, again, it lets itself down because it has halogen headlights. And I would have thought an electric car, if you're going to save energy, you want to put LEDs on there. So the first thing I would do with this car is strip those out and put some LEDs in there. It's going to save you a bit of battery time. Batteries. Well, this has a battery. Unfortunately, and this is one of its letdowns, it's only a 40 kilowatt battery. Now we'll talk about batteries in a minute, because you're probably going 40 kilowatt, wow, that's huge. But when you compare it to the Tesla, the Model X, if you look up here now, you can look at our review of the Model X, that has a 90 kilowatt, and there's even a bigger one, 100 kilowatt as well. So it comes into comparison. This is only 40 kilowatt, and that is what causes the range anxiety. And again, we're going to talk about range on this and all the different technical specifications in the next few minutes. It's not bad looking round at the back either. You get a wash wipe on the back and a decent little diffuser across there. There's no electronically assisted tailgate, but it's very easy to lift up. 435 litres of boot space, but, and there's a big but here, you've got to come and have a look at this. First of all, we'll get onto the but in a second. because this is a pain in the butt, trust me. First of all, you get the obligatory, and it won't come out. The only way to get this out is like that, which I keep saying it. Why do manufacturers keep making these stupid parcel shelves? We need one we can put underneath to get rid of, not to keep in the back. It's nice when you've got, oh, I'm not going to go on and on. Let's put it out the way because it really is just stupid. There's no point in even trying to show you how it goes in here. Okay, so first of all, look at the drop in this car where you go. I mean, it's just going to get, everything's going to scratch this. This bumper's going to get caught if you're going to put luggage in here. Either side here, you've got these two big sort of basket things. That side is for the home charger, so that's the 13 amp plug. And this side is for the fast charger. So you've got to remember which one is which. And they're purposely done like this. They've got little clips on there. There's nowhere to hang shopping. There is no 12-volt adapter. There's this massive drop in the back. Now comes the pain in the butt, because you can't drop these seats. Well, you can lean over and push them like so, and it's a 60-40 split, which is fine, but that's it. Those seats don't fold over any further. What is the point in this area here? I don't get it. They should flip up and give you a bit more room, because it says that's 1,200 litres of space, but how you use that is almost impossible. What are you going to stick on the back of those seats? Let's take a look under here, because we'll pull this out. We're actually going to pull it out because I think it's the easiest way. Look, that's flat as a pancake. So we've got nothing. There is no spare wheel. There is no puncture repair kit. Nissan, what is going on? Guys, come on. This is a little bit embarrassing. Someone has rapidly put this car together, in my opinion. It looks nice. It's the wrong colour, we said that. But that is really not good. We're going to have to jump in the back and see what the passenger's going to expect from the car. So before we jump in the back and see what it's like for your passengers, I noticed this old sort of 1980s, 1990s unscrewable aerial, and I'll say it needs to be unscrewable, because if you go through a car wash with this, it will completely rip it off. So in the old days, we used to have to unscrew these. I mean, I don't get it. This is a modern car. Why don't you just have that, you know, like the little shark fin thing at the back, and maybe have it in the same colour? I just don't get it. And instead you get this sort of Harry Potter wand, you know. The only thing I can say with Nissan at the moment, expecto nothingham, because I'm not really expecting much more from this car. Let's get in the back and have a look, because I'm sure that there's something nice to be said about the passenger area. Let's have a look. So over here by the door, you do get a very small little place to put a water bottle, which is all I can imagine that's used for. It looks to me like something, well, it's something my grandmother would have as her settees, is the finish on this, back in the 1970s, when we used to have dinner parties with little round oranges and pieces of cheese hanging out of them. The car itself, well, let's get in it, because I'm sort of moaning about it. I'm not even sitting in it. Well, that shut me right up. That is extremely comfortable. Wow. There's plenty of legroom. There's plenty of height up here. Oh dear, I'm shocked. It's very comfortable. There you go. There's an honest opinion, and it happened bang, just like that. Isofix points either side, and they're clearly marked in case you have no idea where they are. They put little badges on there. Centre section seems to have a rather large transmission tunnel. I thought this was an electric car. Why has it got such a high transmission tunnel? Again, if you look at the Tesla, for example, it's completely flat. You can just slide across. Basic amenities for the rear passengers, there are none. So there isn't any heating available. You have to rely on the driver or the passenger at the front. There are no USB chargers, and there's no centre armrest with your double cup holder. We're going back to basics here, guys. It better be good up the front. Let's go and check it out. Up front in the Leaf, the most noticeable thing is there are no gear levers, there's no handbrake, there's no paddles, there's nothing. That's because it doesn't need them. I mean, basically, you just push the start button here, and the battery will spring everything into life. I'll shut the door. The intuitive screen is very good actually. It gives you a lot of information, so it tells you the distance you can drive, your range, all that sort of thing, what it's actually doing while you're driving it. It's quite good. It's a 7-inch touchscreen, TFT, which is rather nice colour. It comes standard with the navigation. You've got a DAB radio, and there's a few bits and pieces that you can interlink through this car. It's very intuitive. I love this little bit in the middle. This is basically what would have been your gear stick, and as you can clearly see down here, it's very easy. It's just go and go backwards and park. That's it. Three simple commands. You've got a double cup holder here. You have a standard handbrake button on there, which will hold nicely wherever you are. Inside here is a minute, and I mean minute, that is sort of something that wouldn't even be bothered with. It's good for putting your arm on though, one of you at least. You do get ISOFIX points with the front seat, which is a little bit of a bonus. And if you look in here, the airbags at the front, if you pardon the that's the Bible, the Nissan Bible. It's absolutely massive. You can take off the airbags by putting the key in there, if there is a key. I don't even know if there's a key. Oh yeah, there's a button over there with a key, so you do need a key to turn the airbags off. The styling of the car, well, it's quite nice actually. I quite like this sort of, I don't know, it's like a fake sort of woody carbony type thing, and the plastics are quite soft as well. So it is quite nice. I love the steering wheel. Steering wheel's really nice. On the right here, you've got your cruise control, and on the left you've got your adaptive menu, so that can come up here as well, and you can change radio stations, put the sound up and down. But don't forget, all of this is burning up that battery. So let's have a look at work down here on the heating system. Very basic, but I like it. Yet again, you can go into the mode adaptation, you can go into auto quite simply, up and down. It's all very nice and easy, and comes standard with aircon as well. You've got heated front seats with 2 settings, high and low. You get a nice USB charger with an auxiliary out, and underneath there is a nice 12-volt adapter. Over here is the eco button. I'll explain that when we get out on the road, but what is more important is the E pedal. Now that is here. Now if you put that on, basically what the car will do is autonomously brake for you. So it actually brakes the car to almost 0 miles an hour, which is very clever. And at the same time, it works on a kinetic energy recovery system. You've probably heard of this in Formula One. It's called KERS. It's a great system, puts energy back into the battery. And my God, are you going to need it if you're going to be running around in this car a lot. Let's get it out on the road, guys. Let's see what it's like to drive, because I'm expecting not a lot from this car. We'll see. So here we are. We've just pulled up at a local supermarket, and all I've got to do now, I've pulled up in the bay that is reserved for electronic cars, and then I push the little button like your fuel cap button, which works electronically. We'll come around the front here and shut the door. It's beeping away because I've left the keys in there, and that pulls up just like that. And then we open up the right hand one. There's 2 here. There's a supercharger on the left, and this is the normal charger on the right. I'll show you that in a minute when I go and get the cables. Let's go get the cables. So all of these cars come with a couple of sets of cables. On the left hand side I've got the 13 amp plug cable, which is the one that you can use at home, or if you happen to be in dire emergency you can go and plug it in a hotel or somewhere. We won't use that one. We want this one. And you just have to make sure you get the right ends on this, because if you get them the wrong way around, they don't work, because it's really clever the way this does this. So as you can see, anyone can do this. You don't need any special training. You just lay this on the floor. The first thing you want to do is lift up here like that and pop that in there, simple as. And the good thing is, because I'm shopping at the supermarket, Morrison's on this particular one, hopefully they give me loads more points, they will let me have free electricity while I'm shopping, which is lovely. And we're going to bung that in there like that. Oh, so now it's locked itself. The whole system is locked up. And if you look on the dashboard here, you'll see it's charging. There's a blue light, and that will go all the way out. It's got 3 blue lights in there. And you don't have to worry about any of this, because once you lock the car, nobody can take that out. In actual fact, it's locked in now. So once I lock the car and I walk away from it, that's it. There's no way of pulling that out, and you'd be stupid if you tried to cut that while there's power going through it, because you'd end up frying yourself anyway. So it is as simple as that. So everybody worries about doing these things. How easy was that? The only difference is this one is obviously free. But the difference is you have one of these and it's got a little thing on it, and on your key fob you've got a card and you just swipe it on like that, and it's a prepaid, like a prepaid Visa card or MasterCard, and it just takes off the money. And if you want to top it up, just do it on the app. Speaking of apps, the Nissan Leaf comes with a fantastic app, and I haven't put it on my phone because we're only borrowing this car just to show you guys how it all works, but the app itself will do all of this as well, and it will tell you how far you've got to run and when you need to charge and where you need to charge. So yeah, it's just a great car. Let's get it back out on the road and see what it's like to drive around. So here we are out on the road in the Leaf, and alright, I wasn't as enthusiastic when we were looking around the car, but since I've got in the car and we're actually driving it, it's pretty spectacular. This thing, although on paper it says 7.9 seconds 0 to 60, is a lot quicker than that, trust me. It absolutely flies. And this is on the basic 40 kilowatt battery. Now let me explain a little bit about the batteries, because battery means range, and range anxiety is the biggest problem that people have with EVs, the electronic vehicles. So on the 40 kilowatt, when Nissan launched this car would do around about 150, 160 miles before it needed recharging, which it's not the best, because as you're probably aware, if you've done any studies on this, there's probably one of the lowest range distances that you get with a car. And once the battery, you know, like with your iPhone or your Android, after a while the phone doesn't quite charge or stay charged as long. The same thing is with electric cars as well. It's called battery depletion, and over a period of time, like this press car that we've got today, it will only charge up to about 140 miles, even though it's fully charged. It's just the way batteries work. So what was needed was a bigger battery, a more powerful battery. And as of 2019, January, Nissan launched a bigger battery. They're only making 5,000 of them. I don't know why. They should just give the option to anybody who's buying one of these, and then we could all have the option, you know. But there's only 5,000 going to be made. The range is significantly more, is 40% more. So we've gone from a 40 kilowatt battery to a 62 kilowatt battery, giving us that 40% extra. And that will now equate to about 240, 250 miles. Now we're talking. And you get more power from the motor, so you get more acceleration and more top speed. So everything is a win-win on this. The only difference is, on the 40 kilowatt, it costs, including, by the way, your £3,500 UK, not for those of you watching abroad, UK give £3,500 to Nissan. So for us, it works out £31,000 for one of these on the 40 kilowatt. If you want the bigger battery with the 240 mile range, which you probably will, we're talking nearly £37,000, 37. And that includes the £3,500 discount from the government as well. So they're not cheap, these cars. They're really not cheap. And it's quite sad, because the whole idea of these cars was to be eco-friendly, and we were going to swap our petrol cars and our diesel cars, and we're all going to drive around in electric cars. But let's face it, at the moment, none of us can afford them. I mean, it's just ridiculous, because you've got to charge them as well. And we talk about charging. We're going to pull up in a minute and we're going to do a bit of a charging exercise, and I'll explain to you how the charging works on this, because a lot of people have never charged an electric car, so they haven't got a clue. The car itself, right, let's talk about the running and what it feels like. To be honest, it feels like a very good top-end Nissan. It's comfortable, it's fast, it's not as quiet as I'd like it to be. And that I did notice, the road noise and the actual, the general ambient sound in this car is not quiet. It's quite noisy. It's got a few rumbles. There's loads of lovely safety systems on here as well. So once you set the cruise control up over here on the right, you've got blind spot mirrors over here, which are excellent. All cars should have them. You know, I must say that every car should have blind spot mirrors. You've got lane departure warning system. I've got distance control, and using the E-pedal here, it will automatically brake for you as well, which is fantastic. It's a supercar to drive, and I think with the bigger battery, it's definitely worth considering, because it's now getting into the realms of Tesla. And when you consider the cheapest Tesla, we're starting to talk, 60,000-70,000 pounds. That's huge difference between the two, and you're going to be plumping for one of these. There is also something very, very spectacular with this car. You get an 8-year warranty. That's even bigger than a certain other manufacturer, which I was quite surprised with, or 100,000 miles, whichever comes first. That's fantastic, and you need that sort of peace of mind when you're buying a car like this. You've been watching me, AJ the Player, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's a little bit more about electronic cars and stuff, so maybe not the normal thing that we do, but it's important to stay eco-friendly, guys. We have to do it. Don't forget, thumbs up, subscribe, and comments. Keep them coming in. Love it. Thanks, guys. Lovely to see you. Talk to you next week with another car. Take care.